I've lived in Jackson Township my whole life. This is me. It's where I grew up, went to school, and met some of my closest friends. I've spent time in its schools, parks, and just about every corner of town. I play for the high school tennis team and volunteer with other school programs, staying involved in the community I've always called home. But despite living here for so long, I know surprisingly little about its history, how and when it was settled, and how it grew into the vibrant, supportive township it is today. I'll be visiting Jackson's one-room schoolhouse, home to the Jackson Township Historical Society, to take a deeper dive into the town's history. This is... I scheduled an interview with Greg Weekly to gather more information.
I'm Greg Weekly. I'm curator of the Jackson Township Historical Society.
I asked him a series of questions regarding Jackson's settlement and early discoveries in history.
Government of the township was founded in 1815. It was a township before that, but it was governed by Plain Township until they got enough people. Then when they got enough people, they established the township government.
Coal brought a lot of attraction to the Jackson and Stark County area.
Oh, the whole area had a lot of coal. Basically anywhere there was a hill, they would dig into it and look for coal. There were a lot of coal mines in the area. There used to be a small gauge railroad that went from just south of Portage on 241. There was a major coal company there, Betty Coal Mine, and it went through the fields down across High Mill and down to the canal, and they shipped it out of the canal.
But not as much as farming. What would you say were the main reasons that people settled in this area?
In Jackson, it was a good land. There was coal, there was several mills, basically for farming though. Yeah, I asked a lot of seniors and stuff in school, about what their questions are about Jackson Township, and nobody seems to ever come up with them. And several times they've told me, my grandparents told me this used to all be farms, and they can't understand that.
It's true. Just take a look at this aerial shot from the high school, now the middle school, from a 1960s yearbook, compared to a photo taken from the same angle just last year. See the difference? It wasn't just like this around the school. It was like this all over the township, and there even is still a little bit of farmland. But speaking of school,
there were 11 schoolhouses. There were as many as 13 different schools, not all operating at the same time, but there are up to 13 different schools and districts within the township.
These one-room schoolhouses were usually the social center for activities and entertainment for the children. These schools also took education very seriously, providing education no matter wealth or social status. Greg also explained that there are 4 left standing scattered throughout the township. Can you tell me about any historical events or additions to the township that has shaped it?
Belden Village.
Belden Village, situated on the east side of Jackson, serves as a vibrant community hub with over 100 stores and restaurants. Since its construction in the mid to late 1960s, it has played a key role in attracting people to Jackson and shaping the township's identity.
That was the biggest driver at the time. It still is. It's a huge amount of businesses over there. After Belden Village, it brought in a lot of people. That brings in, you need more services then. Then you have more shopping outside, like the 2 shopping centers down here, fast food, doctor's offices, all that kind of stuff. All that started building up more and more. There's a lot of businesses down in the southeast part of the township.
But there's another reason why Belden Village is so popular. And it's not just the abundance of stores and restaurants, it's something you might not expect. I-77, I know, is a big deal.
Yeah, that was part of what brought Belden Village in.
With Interstate 77 running through Belden Village, access to the area has never been more convenient. The easy highway access makes it the perfect place for a quick and hassle-free visit. As this groundbreaking project took shape in Jackson, the local schools also experienced some notable changes. They closed all the one-room schoolhouses in the 30s, and they built the high school, which is now the middle school.
Yeah, it was built as the school.
The school.
Yeah,
Like
first
K
through 12. No K.
Yes, the now middle school used to be the overall school in the township. Greg explained that the school originally included an elementary wing, housing all elementary classrooms. Later, Sauter Elementary was built as a junior high for grades 6th through 8th, transforming the existing school into the high school. In 1962 and 1963, Amherst and Lake Cable elementary schools were also constructed. And soon enough, as Greg explains,
76, you built the new school.
okay.
Okay, and that's when that became the middle school.
And this is how it stands today. The 3 elementary schools, including Strasser, which opened in 2001, a middle school, and a high school that has undergone numerous renovations. Meanwhile, as all of these changes were happening within the township, it was in the process of establishing its own fire department and police station. And at first, for the fire department,
It was all volunteer. They got together. If you're familiar with Lake Springs and West Boulevard, okay, that triangle there is owned by the lake, and they gave the property to the volunteers to build the first fire station.
over time, additional fire stations were built throughout the township to ensure the safety of its residents. The firefighting force also evolved, transitioning from a largely volunteer-based team to a professional one, now consisting of approximately 70 full-time and 40 part-time firefighters. For the police department, on the other hand, the Stark County Sheriff's Department initially provided protection for the area. However, an agreement was later established to allocate 3 cruisers to Jackson, with 3 full-time deputies patrolling the township. By 1977, Jackson had officially formed its own police department, which has relocated multiple times as it expanded. Today, the Jackson Township Police Department is located at the Safety Center, centrally located within the township. Do you by any chance know the history of the polar bear?
Back in the very early 60s, they took up collections for it. They were going to build. There were originally supposed to be 3 bears. Supposed to be an adult bear and 2 baby bears or something like that. But they didn't. They decided after they got the first one that they didn't want to spend the money. But they had, kids were donating lunch money and stuff like that in order to go out and buy it. When Jackson became the Jackson Polar Bears, we don't exactly know. We've looked back through the old newspapers that we have, the school newspapers, and programs and stuff. The first reference we could find was bears. And then the following year we saw polar bears. We can't find anything in those newspapers about somebody getting the idea to call them the polar bears, or was it that way in 1930 when the high school was established? We don't know.
1, 2, 3,
As Jackson evolved, there have been many events that have shaped its identity.
The Jackson Community Festival started out as the volunteers, Jackson Fire Department volunteers. And it was over at Lake Cable behind the original fire station, and that was Lake Cable property also. That's how they got money to buy new equipment, new trucks and stuff. Started at the fire station, went around West Boulevard, around East Boulevard, out onto Fulton Road, and back to the festival.
So it was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it was a fun thing at that time.
Over time, Jackson gained increasing recognition across the state as new developments and projects took shape within the township, like its amphitheater. Its school sports teams reached the state championships, some even claiming victory, while the schools themselves earned acclaim for their academic excellence. had to describe the identity or spirit of the township in a few words, what would they be?
Quality of life, I think, is a good phrase to say. I mean, you look at all the services we have in the township, how good the schools are, the parks, the administration of the township. I think the quality of life here is exceptional.
But why is preserving a township's history important?
Because like you didn't know a lot of these things. And talk to a lot of people that don't. They come into the schoolhouse and then, oh, I didn't know this was here, gone by, and then I've gone by it and wanted to. They don't know the past. You got to know the past so you don't repeat failures of the past in the future.
Preserving a town's history is important because it helps maintain a sense of identity, culture, and community pride. It also allows future generations to understand their roots, learn from the past, and appreciate the town's growth and evolution. And coming from a resident of Jackson, we should be especially grateful for the Jackson Township Historical Society and its dedication to preserving our rich history.
When I was in school, I hated history.
Yeah.
Then I got into it, and I thought I knew everything about Jackson Township until I joined the society. And then as I went through things and was helping them out, doing things, I said, wow, there's a lot more to the township than I thought. I mean, I read through stuff and go, oh, I didn't know that. I mean, every time I'm here, I learn more about the township too.
So you learned a lot from the society?
Yes, I learned just by going through things, archiving things, looking things up, I learn it as I go through it.
As we look back on Jackson Township's journey, from its humble beginnings to its growth and transformation into the thriving community it is today, we are reminded of the resilience, dedication, and vision that shaped its history. Each chapter, from early settlers to modern advancements, reflects the spirit of those who built and nurtured the township. While the past has laid its foundation, the future remains ours to write. By preserving our history and embracing progress, we ensure that Jackson's legacy continues for generations to come.